Okay, this is just a quick video lesson on how to start your Google Doc and to share it with others if you're working on something like a lab report. So the first thing you need to do is log into your Gmail. Okay. So you'll see your messages come up, but you want to click on this little icon up in the upper right. It's the 9 little squares, and that's the apps launcher. So we click on it and then click on Draw. Now I have some of my things organized into folders. You can make a folder if you'd like to, and then keep all of your, say, biology. You could name it for whatever course you're doing the work for, and then keep your files that are related to that course inside the folder. Because once you get using this, your files will build up. Anyway, if you had a certain folder, you'd click on the folder to open it, and then click on New. If you're just going to put it right into your drive as is, then just click on New. And we're going to make a Google Doc. So if you're working on your career project, if this is for one of the courses that's working on their career project, then you don't need to share it with anyone else unless you wanted them to maybe have a look at it for you. So you could simply start typing and change the name of it at any time. But I usually try and get in the habit of changing the name of the document right away. So you click on Untitled Document in the upper left and give it a name. So I'm going to say Trial Document. Okay, so maybe it's your Animal and Plant Cell Lab Report, or maybe it's your career project. So you could name it the name of your career so that it stands out and you can easily tell what it is. Okay, so you can just typing, and all of the features most of the features, I guess, that you would normally have in a word processor, you can find along the top. Now, let's say it's something you wanted to share. So either someone can have a look at it for you and give you some feedback, or you want them to contribute because maybe it's your group lab report. So I would click on Share, and there's different options. So you could share by using a link that you share with the others, or by adding their Gmail address. So if I knew I wanted to share it with, say, Miss Ramsey, then I would put in her Gmail address. Okay. I can put in other people's Gmail addresses. So if you have more than one person in your group or you want to share it with other people. Now here's where you tell if they can edit it or not. So if you want them to, if it's a group written report, then you want it to be can edit. If you want them to give you feedback, then you could say can comment. And if you just want them to be able to see it, but not comment or edit, you pick can view. So that's what you do if it's something that you don't want them to accidentally delete or make changes to. Okay, so I can edit because we're going to do a lab report, and you can send them a little message if you want to. So I'm just going to let her know that she doesn't have to do anything with this. Okay, and then you click on Send. And they should get a message. Okay, and if you've shared it with them, it'll also appear. So if someone shared it with you, if you click on Shared with Me, then it should appear in the list of your Shared with Me documents. So then you'd open it and you can start typing along with them. Okay. Now, as you are going along, let's say you're doing a group report, this option here. There's a drop down menu here. The editing, this is where you can type in, and whatever you put in will be kept no matter what. If you pick suggesting, okay, if you picked suggesting, then maybe maybe we could try okay, if I tried suggesting, then oops, that's where it's a nice peer editing feature where maybe you think that if someone else has written certain things and maybe you have a suggestion that'll make it better, then it shows up in a funny box, and then the message that goes with it over here on the right, you can write back then and say, I like that idea, or maybe you say, oh, maybe we could do this instead, and then you can have a little message going about it. Okay, if it's something that you like and you want to keep, and someone has suggested, then you click on the check mark. Okay, and now it looks normal. It's part of the document. Okay, so if I want to get out of that mode, then I go back to editing. And then if I don't like what was there, I can just click on the X and it gets rid of what they've done. Okay. For those who are doing lab reports, then you probably need to put in some calculations. Drawings, I'll show you guys how to do in class, so you can work on those after. I'll do a little example or show you on Friday. Okay, but if I wanted to put in a formula and the calculations for my results, then I would insert an equation. Okay, and these are the little equation tools. So I'd say length equals, and then I want a fraction. So I have my fraction. There's my fraction. Okay. 5 power field diameter on top. Oops. Sometimes you have to kind of click into the space. The number of cells fit lengthwise. Okay, and then I kind of move my cursor to the right of it so I can keep going. Use the little arrow, sorry, move my cursor to the right of it, and then I can do equals. So then I'm going to do another fraction, so I can put in the values, 450. Oh, I need mu, that funny looking written, almost looks like a written U. It stands for micro, so that's under the Greek letters. Under the Greek letters, and you should find it right there. Okay, so micro letters. Okay, and I don't know, I'll say 10 just so it's easier. So I use the right arrow, and that will take me away from the fraction, and then I put the answer. So in this case, it would be 45. And a little mu again, kilometers. Okay, and if I go to the right this time, it'll take me right out of the box. So there's my equation. Okay. As for the drawings, if you did want to get a start on the drawings, you can look in Appendix E, okay, of your book. Let's see. We'll do a little. Okay, let's see if I can find an example to show you. Well, I can show you where you can look at. So if you go on our website and go to resources and then formal lab report. Okay, So for this lab, you're going to do a cover page. You're going to do the objective because it's right on the lab. You do not have to do the background for the animal and plant cell lab. Okay, we're going to focus on some other things instead for this one. You need to do the materials, and the observations in this case are all of those lettered questions that you had to answer, with the exception of the ones that you were estimating size. Okay, so make sure you use headings to indicate which questions. You're going to put the whatever part of the lab it is, and then the number and letter for each question, and use rule 1 to answer it. So that means your answer should reflect what the question was. Okay, so that's observations. Results, that's where you're going to show your calculations. Okay, so what I just showed would be an example because you had to estimate the length, but you have to be specific. Length of what? What are you finding? So you have to estimate the length that way for the human cheek. No, the human cheek cell you did using micrometer units of the little ruler in the microscope, so it'll look a little bit different. But when you're estimating the size of the guard cells, the formula should look like the one I just showed. Now, application questions, there would be a separate section in my labs that says application questions. So there is none on this lab. But this little section here describes how you should do a proper diagram. Okay, so you could have a look at that. Some things that you need to pay attention to. So your title should be at the top with the magnification in brackets. Okay, you use white paper and use a pencil. Only one per page. Your drawing itself should take at least a third of the page so that the features that you're labeling are large enough for people to see. I am a stickler for your lines and having your labels in a column. Okay, so your diagram should be a little bit to the left so that you can put your lines all perfectly parallel using a ruler to the side. None of them should cross. Okay, and then put your labels so that they're in a perfect column on the right. Okay. Make sure that you double check your spelling for your labels and label only what you see. Alright, so let's see if we can find an example. Now, if I were to look at this one, the lines end at the same spot, which is great, but the labels are not in a perfect column. If the labels were right at the end of the line, they should never be on top of the line or underneath the line. If they're right at the end of the line, then they should fall in a perfect column, and then that would be okay. They're missing their magnification, so if this is the title, then the magnification should be in brackets the back, behind it, and this magnification of drawing shouldn't be there, nor should the name, date, and class. Okay, let's see, are there others that we can check? So this one, the lines are parallel, but they need to end at the same spot so that the labels will be in a perfect column. Okay, the name of it should be at the top, not at the bottom. Names, titles. Okay, this one, for instance, I would take a little bit off because while the lines are perfectly parallel, the labels are not starting in a perfect column. They're kind of, there's indents and doesn't look very nice. You'll also lose marks here for not having the full name of the part on the same line. It should never go on to the next line. Okay, they're missing a magnification. And if they had moved this more to the left, then their label should have fit fine. Okay, the orientation of your page should be portrait. And depending on who you have as a teacher, okay, they may have slightly different expectations, and depending on what lab you're doing, they may have slightly different expectations. So for instance, this one was probably just a quick lab and someone just got them to do a quick sketch. It's not done as a proper lab report diagram, but it's probably just a quick one. Oh, here's a good, let's see. Okay, so this one shows a perfect column. The labels are at the end. Now this one should be all on one line, so if they had moved this more to the left, they could have done it. Some like the magnification at the bottom. I would like you to put it at the top, right at the end of the title, and don't forget to underline. Okay, so that's not a bad one to look at. We zoom in. Don't use line paper. Okay, you can't even tell where the title is here. Make sure that the spelling of the labels are correct. Again, this is just rough notes. This is fine in your notes as you're doing the lab, but when you do a proper diagram, you need to follow more of these steps. Okay? So, hopefully that gets you started with your lab report. We'll see you on Friday.